Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Circle of the World podcast, where we discuss Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. I am one of your hosts, Lord Chamberlain Jeffrey, and here are my co-hosts.
Archlector George.
And Harrison, the Adeptus Historical.
We continue our coverage of Best Served Cold, Joe's first standalone and the next First Law entry after the original trilogy. And on this episode, we review Neither Rich Nor Poor, Heroic Efforts, New Beginnings, and The Traitor. So let's get started. As usual, folks, we want to thank you for your support. We took a bit of a break. When I say break, I mean break for us, not so much for you, because we still forced you to hear our fucking voices over a period, 3-4 weeks?
Our very close to not PC jokes that George edited for us.
Yeah.
Our dulcet tones. Yes, our very last episode that was released was a blooper episode comprised of a bunch of outtakes and whatnot that George was so kind to put it together for us. Thank you, Archlector, for using the recordings that you used to eavesdrop on us as part of your duties.
It does feel like eavesdropping, especially when I walk out of the room and then I listen to it and you guys are like talking about me. And I'm like, what?
Hey, what are they saying about me? What?
Oi, what's all this then?
Oi, hey, oi.
And by the way, most of those recordings were not from the podcast. They were just from us talking.
Yes, like
randomly.
Sometimes we either didn't start the episode yet or we kind of ended it, I think, right?
Yeah.
They're the best place to get it because we're always riffing on each other, just not in the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, in the podcast as well, but
Or Jeff does it to me, so.
I do it to everybody except to Harrison. And so thank you, George, for utilizing your bestowed upon powers to spy on us to provide the audience with another episode. Because Harrison was in the sticks of Alaska. He was fighting the rough waters there, right?
Yeah, I was out there with a sword on the side of the cruise ship.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to get back the waves.
He was trying to find evidence of Shanka in the Brooks Range or something.
I found him.
Yep, and there we go.
I killed them all.
Yep. I don't know what I did during this time off, but whatever. And
You
George,
rested, Jeffrey. You did something
right.
you don't normally do.
I rested. That's right. And George went to go see family. So we took a little bit of time, but we are back. And again, we thank you all for your loyal, unconditional support. So
yes, we managed to plan it a little bit better this time, didn't we? We managed to do all the episodes in advance and then the bigger episode. So we didn't take a break, which is really brilliant.
Yep.
Pat on the back.
Yay, we smart. Anyway. Oh, all right. Let's get going. Let's do our first chapter read-through, which is Neither Rich Nor Poor. And here we start off from the perspective of our mysterious boy, Shanked. He is... Sorry.
Hungry. He's hungry.
He's always hungry. He's just permanently hungry.
Yes, he's hungry. He is walking down a nice little hallway, carving his little wooden thingy, whistling to himself, just chilling. And then he enters the room that he's going to, and it turns out to be full of people. I believe 8 people, correct? 7 men and a woman. And he recognized them from being some of the people that were in the chamber with Duke Orso, swearing to kill Manza and her ilk.
For money. They're professionals, okay?
Yeah, right. For money. I like his first question goes, "Have I come at a bad time?" As he's trying to be so polite. And then they recognize as that he's the guy that wouldn't kneel. And he just goes, "Yep, shanked." And he goes, "Look, one guy goes, 'My name is Malt. You're just in time to help bring them in.'" And they go, "Who
What
bring
a fucking
who in?"
shit name, by the way.
Malt?
Yeah, actually, you have a kid and you call it fucking malt. Like vinegar.
Or malt liquor, right?
Yeah, like, okay. What a weird name.
Yep. And so they Shank clarifies like, who are we getting? And he goes, well, at least the leader. And Shank asks them like, how do you know you have the right person? It's a woman. Pello knows, right? Pello, and Pello, I guess, knows Monza by face.
Yeah, because he was one of the people that tortured her in the basement in Whirrun, right?
Yep. Yeah, he's the.
That's right. Pello was the other person. Not who was the other? The woman.
Pello does deserve to die, not because he is trying to kill Mons, but because he abandoned his Duke.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he's the disloyal. He ran away.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, he knows it's Mercado himself. He's seen it. He goes, she was in Whirrun. That's where the Northman lost his eye. And Shank goes, oh, right. The guy that Sajam had told me about. And and then Malt says, the Snake of Talons herself and still alive. What do you think about that? And Shank goes, I am amazed. Does she have anybody with her? And they say that, yep, just as Northman, nothing we can't deal with. Lucky Nim and two of her boys are waiting in the alley at the back. And when the big clock next chimes, we go in the front. They're not getting away. And then he looks, I like this next little bit. Shank looked slowly around at each suspicious face and gave each man a chance. You are all determined to do this, all of you? And Malt goes, of course. You'll find no bitches here. You want to come in with us? And then Shank goes, with you, great tempest wash up strange companions. And there's an other guy that goes, we don't need this motherfucker. I say we cut his throat. And Malt goes, no. Calm down. No need to be gritty. I've been on jobs like this before, and everyone's just so focused on the money and not the job, and then you get fucked. Let's do this civilized, all right? And then Shank
goes, what a gentleman Malt is.
What a gentleman. And Shank goes, yes, I say civilized. For pity's sake, let's kill like honest men. And
I love that he says that, like, especially the way Pacey delivers that line. It is so, he says it in such an ironic way. On purpose, he's being sarcastic and ironic about it. And then the other guy's just like, yeah, exactly right. He just totally misses his meaning. Hilarious.
Yep. And then Malt says, equal shares all around and we can all be rich. And Shank just goes, rich? The dead are neither rich nor poor. And then just kind of pushes his finger in the middle of Malt's face, folding it in half. That's where we leave Shanked there.
And I like how Joe doesn't even bother to show us this bit because we already know that he's just going to murder them all. So it's like it's pointless showing us exactly what happened.
Although it's weird that he just like poked him like that, you know.
Well, yeah, it's all he does, really. If you notice,
do you think he realized what he did? He was like, strange. Oh shit! My bad. You need to kill the rest of them to cover it up.
He's probably like, hey, you have something on your face. Fuck again.
Don't lean forward.
Just trying to do like a little nose boot, like boop. Oh.
He's like, he did a nose boop. They didn't have. I had to do what I had to do, you know.
The boopiest boop of all.
I just booped him on the nose, and they all attacked me. It wasn't my fault.
So we cut over to Shiver's perspective, and he's chilling on a little dirty bed. Monza all naked on top of him, and she's messed up from the husk smoke. And husk is good for pain, but Shivers is like, it's way too good. It's so good you always needed more. Monza is constantly, puffing on that.
I need plus.
Husking on that more than anything, but he didn't trust it. So he was thinking about doing it, and then he kind of got just panicked out of nowhere because I guess he got close to doing it. Then he goes, no, I'm good. He gets out. He gets off the bed. He opens the window, and then he kind of like looks down in the alley, and he sees that there are two men and a woman holding a hand up. Then they hear a bell, and then they come right in, and they go, downstairs, and they had a sword and a mace, and Shivers goes, here we go. 3 of them, and from the way they've been waiting, more likely more coming from the front. But Shivers is tired of running. He still had his pride, even though he don't have he only has one eye. What the fuck? So he was thinking about waking up Monza, but he realized she would not be any use at this point, right? So
she's like, "Oh, Benna, you
there?" So he just grabs the knife that he has, and he waits by the door, and so he hears them coming up the steps.
And I love how Shivers is like just barely containing his joy. He's like, "I'm gonna murder these guys." He's just so happy about it.
He is what he is, right? He knows he enjoys violence because he is what he is. You know?
Mm-hmm. And then Monza starts, waking up slightly. She goes, Benna, whatever. It's like, ugh, you're naked and you think you see Benna. Blah. Anyway, the first guy comes in. Monza's like, what the fuck? And then the second guy comes in, almost pushing his friend off balance. And Shivers just snatches his mace from him and stabbed the first guy in the back, and just did it quick. And and then laughing. He's laughing at this point. And then the other guy's like, what going on here, Mike? He can't swing his mace. And then Shivers hits him in the face with the butt of the mace. Hits him in the face with the butt of the mace. That's right. Am I saying this?
I'll say it again.
And the guy that got stabbed fell on top of Monza, and Shivers basically killed the guy with the mace. Crushed his head in. The lady that was there also, was screaming and was coming at him. But Monza, I guess, at some point ended up near the door and like tripped her by accident. And then Shivers literally basically just killed her. Right? They did struggle for a moment, but he,
yeah. There's no. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the fight scene I kind of like because it's like close quarters and it's quick. Like Shivers is in the zone, like he's like, oh sweet, some action, something to kill. I almost wondered too, like when he was sitting underneath Monza, if he freaked out because he was like, I don't want to smoke. But then he thought about how he was sitting underneath her, started to get into a violent mood. Then he got all conflicted and stuff. More things we can get into later. But I think it's interesting that like she's in all vulnerable. And then he gets up and he's like, man, I kind of want to kill something. And then people come to the door. He's like, sweet, just what I wanted. But these guys are being professionals. They're terrible. They're way worse. Awful. They go in there with maces. I'm surprised one didn't come in with a lance. You know what I mean?
Or a pike or spear or something.
Yeah,
Form of phalanx.
I like that they're like so unprepared for this. Like, you just go in there and kill them, and they go in there like, I can't stand anywhere. They're stumbling around.
Yeah,
one of them just immediately trips up the second she gets in the room, just falls over.
Yeah.
Oh lordy, Lord. And Shivers, he gets Monza, and he basically is carrying her through, down the stairs and everything. And she goes, I gotta stop smoking. And while she's like also kind of vomiting, and Shivers goes, yep, sure. Just as soon as I get another eye, And then they leave.
He does not believe that she's gonna stop smoking.
He's like, this bitch is an addict. She a crackhead. And so then we cut back to Shank's perspective, and I guess he must have arrived like 5 minutes later or something. And he looks around the room. He goes, it's 3 corpses. And he goes, don't see Mercado or the Northman, but it's better that they should escape before somebody else finds them before he did. That I cannot allow. When Shank takes on a job, he always saw it through. So this guy is just selfish. He didn't want to share no money. The guy, Malt was being so nice and kind and giving and generous, right? And
justice for Malt, kill Shank.
And he got a boop in the face for this shit. What the fuck? And then
it's just an honest, hard-working mercenary. Just a man for hire. Just kill anyone. But
Yeah.
I don't know why we feel sorry for him.
I don't know. And then Shank is surveying the scene. He goes, "Man, this is almost as bad as the mess I made in the other room." Jesus Christ! And then he sees the woman, Lucky Nim. He goes, just Nim then, because her luck had ran out.
I like how there's like no context.
No, there's absolutely no. We've
Nim.
literally just met this character. He's like, "Oh yeah, name's Lucky Dim," and then it's just like this. It's such a good joke. I think Spaceman pointed it out last time he was a guest. It might have been the episode that we lost, actually, but that is one of the better jokes in the series, where it's just set up and pay off in about a page, and it's brilliant.
Very true. Very true. As Shank is, go ahead.
And it fits so well with Shank being sort of like this sardonic, sort of not very, kind of emotionless, but he's got just that bit of sarcasm in him. I think that's funny. I think that's so brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's such a departure from the typical evil henchman / villain.
Right.
Which I really enjoy.
No, for sure. For sure. And Shank is surveying the scene again, and he sees a ring, a golden ring with a big-ass blood-red ruby. Mercado's ring, perhaps? Dun, dun, dun. So he takes it, and then he grabs Nim's ankle and, lays her on the bed, and he starts humming to himself. And so he says...
so juicy, sweet!
Nice fish. What's Tater's precious? And so he notices that her right leg had a patch of a scaly rash. So he takes the left one instead. He cut it free, buttock and all, with his butcher's sickle. He pops the bone from a hip joint, and he took the foot off with two, cuts of the knife, and he wrapped. He just, he kind of like just puts the leg in a bag, and then he's like a rump steak then, thick cut and pan fried. He always carried a special mix of Soljuk 4-spice with him, crushed to his taste, and the oil native to the region around Paranti had a wonderful nutty flavor. Then salt and crushed pepper. Good meat was all in the seasoning, pink in the center, but not bloody. Shank has never been able to understand people who like their meat bloody. The notion disgusted him. Ugh. Onions sizzling. Go ahead.
Sorry, I love how this kind of elevates him from, before we knew we kind of knew he was an eater, but now it's like, oh no, he's actually Hannibal Lecter. Okay.
Did we know he was an eater for sure? Did we? We just saw his abilities. That's all, right?
Yeah, the thing is, what else could he be?
Well, he could be a fucking magi. You never know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. But... anytime I read this part, I know I just made another Lord of the Rings reference. I'm always like, oh, even I couldn't say no to that.
Oh, yes, we could. I'm about to watch Lord of the Rings again. And then just to finish off his cannibalistic Gordon Ramsay-esque description of his meal. Onions sizzling alongside, perhaps, then dice the shank and make stew with roots and mushrooms, a broth from the bones, a dash of that old Murris vinegar to give it zing. And then...
Wait, I love that he gives his full description of this food, of this leg. Like, Joe never describes, like, other meals.
Yeah,
but the one meal he describes in massive detail is somebody else's flesh.
Right, and the funny thing is, if he wasn't describing a human leg, we'd be like, that sounds like a delicious... that gives me an idea, but then it's like,
I don't know about you guys. I could go for a steak right now. Like,
I could go for a steak.
It just put me in the mood. Yes.
And he starts talking about he had passed the bakers before, and he's like, crusty, new baked loaves. And then he goes, you know what? I might want to do that with the pate. You know what? Let me go back for a liver. It just ends the chapter after all. Oh, boy. Boys, how do you give that chapter? What do you give that?
You want to go first, Harrison?
Yeah, I think a 2 out of 9. There's a lot of flavor on this. There's a lot of you know, there's a lot of it's an entertaining chapter, just fine. But there's not too many like good deep details that there has to be. It's a chapter. It's fine. It's just not really there's nothing really strong or outstanding other than the fact that the way it's laid out is kind of different to a lot of his chapters. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for the same. I'm gonna go for a 2. I like the fact that it's just sort of like this cat and mouse game with Monza and Shank, and Monza and Shivers are basically unaware that anybody's after them until this point anyway.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
And then when they do turn up, all the fucking assassins are just incompetent, and he just kills them. So there you go.
They're the Mr. Bean of assassins. Yeah, I'll give it a 2 out of 9 as well. Fuck it, why not? Let's get a trifecta in. Why not? Because it's
Yay!
a easy peasy chapter to rate. Nothing, not too crazy, like you guys said. It's a form of setup, I guess. But yep, nothing more. So let's move on to our next segment. This is best meme of the week, Georgie boy. That's you. Take it away.
So this week we have Real Crowned Prophet on House of the Meme Maker here, and it's spoilers for the very last book in the series. It's just the shot of James Franco on the gallows in I can't remember the name of that film. It's in the Ballad of Buster something, where it's like first time.
Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
That's the one, yeah. And it's just like, how's your leg to Leo? That's a good one. I can't believe nobody's thought of that before.
Actually, no, I've seen it. I saw it whenever the book very first came out.
Is this one of those? One of those accidental reposts.
Yes, I think so, but
case,
not like
fucking shame on you, Real Crown.
Yes, how dare you? You might have just joined the fandom 3 months ago, but you disgust me.
I think we're actually guilty of that ourselves. I think somebody has pointed out a couple of the ones that we made, or I made specifically, especially the wait, it's all Baez. Always has been that one. I'm sure somebody's definitely done that before me and pointed it out, and they weren't angry about it, so it's all good.
Who cares?
They're just memes.
They're just memes, but ours are the best always. So, thank you for that, George. We'll move on to our next chapter read-through, Heroic Efforts, New Beginnings. And the ragtag group of vengeance seekers or revengineers, the Revengers, where are they going to now?
Osprey? Oh, they're trying to get Faithful Carpy. Anyway.
Yeah, they're trying. They're in between Osprey and Puranti, and they're trying. They're in the farming field areas. They're just in the countryside.
Yeah. She was back. That's right. They were in Puranti, and now they're heading somewhere east because she looked back west to look at Puranti because I guess it's raining over there. She's not happy with herself because she lost the ring that Benna had given her. And she was lucky that that was all she lost because she had been fucking careless. She really had to stop smoking, make a new beginning, just had to, and yet she was smoking more than ever. She is straight up a dope head, straight up.
Yeah,
she's Bubbles from The Wire. Just one more.
I love the way that he actually describes the addiction in this way as well, like that like sort of really sharp panic you get when you know that you've run out. And as somebody who's pretty much smokes every single fucking day, if I run out of tobacco and I haven't got a vape or anything, my first thought is, oh my god, I've got to go to the shop now. Mm-hmm. I have to, even if I don't want it that badly. Like that is just fantastic.
Yeah,
just like put it into words.
Yeah, and I really like the way he states the actual events of doing it. It's like, no, put a valiant effort up of trying not to do it and holding off, and then giving in, and then it feels great, and then you feel like shit afterwards because you already tried. Just it'll be the last time. It's just this one last time, and then next time you put another valiant effort up. It's done. He writes that part really well. I would say it also is a her addiction throughout this whole book is a really good way to tell her state of mind, because she's a very strong-willed person and very good at, she's very determined and and she follows through. But when she's weaker is whenever she's not able to do that. And right now, that kind of shows her state of mind. It's partly, of course, the drugs are affecting her in that way normally, but it also shows that she's not able to overcome it because she's obviously not in a healthy state of mind either way, even without the drugs. So I think it's a good reflection of where she's actually at. She can't see that part of it. She just sees the addiction as bad, but she doesn't realize why she's having a hard time with it. Normally, she'd probably be able to conquer addiction better than a lot of people could because of who she is.
Being a very, very strong-willed kind of person.
Yeah, so she's confused herself why she can't quite get over it, but it's because it's not from the drugs, it's from her.
Everything else that she's lost in her life that she's trying to fill the void with.
Yes.
It's kind of sad. It's very sad. And
it is sad.
People always, this is one of the criticisms about Monza, is that, the whole addict thing kind of doesn't play well for your main character. But I think it just endears her so much more, because like you said, it's a very complex thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. That's a common complaint about Monza.
I've seen it a couple of times. I wouldn't know where to look or name names or anything, but I have seen it as one of the criticisms about Monza.
Oh, damn.
I think that the main criticism against Monza is that she's unlikable, but she does all the same things most the other characters do. That's why it's confusing for us here at the Circle of the World, but she's just another character, very well written, and if you don't like her, understandable, but keep your opinions to yourself.
Shut up. We don't want to hear it. And so then, as they're all moving across this country, Morvir goes, I don't really like this country, this kind of land. It's a good country for an ambush. And Monza goes, that's why we're here. We're going to get faithful Carpi this way. And then Morvir goes, are you sure it's smart to put your faith into Rogant? And she goes, you don't win battles with prudence. And he goes, no, one plans a murder with it, and Rogant is notoriously untrustworthy, and he's an old enemy of yours. And she goes, I can trust him as far as what's his own interest. But the problem is, internally, she goes, I've been asking myself the same question. Fuck. And she goes, small risk for him killing faithful Carpi, but a hell of a payoff if I can get him the 1,000 swords. But Morvir's not letting up. He goes, look, this wouldn't be your first miscalculation. What if we're stranded out here in the path of an army? You are paying me to kill one man at a time, not to fight a war single-handedly. But then Monza interrupts him and goes, I paid you to kill one man in Westport, and you murdered 50. I don't need any lessons from you in taking care. But then he goes, it's barely more than 40, and that was due to too much care to get your man, not too little. What about your butcher's bill? Was it any shorter at Cardati's? Or how about Duke Salier's? Or how about Capril? Forgive me. Morvir is cooking her right now. And he goes, forgive me if I don't really have a lot of faith in your ability to keep the violence contained. And then she flips out. She goes, enough. You're like a goat that doesn't just stop bitching. Do the job I pay you for, and that's it. And then Morvir, he stops the cart, and then he goes, is this the thanks that I get for your timely rescue in Viscerine after you pointedly ignored my advice? Vittori chimes in. She goes, that rescue was as much as my doing, and no one's thanked me. And then Morvir ignores her. He goes, maybe I should find a more grateful employer. And then Monza goes, maybe I need to find a more obedient fucking poisoner. And then Morvir goes, maybe. But wait. And he closes his eyes. And you could tell he's really struggling internally. And he goes, and he's breathing. And Shivers is kind of going, what the fuck? He looks at Monza like, what's he about to do? And then Morvir goes, perhaps I should most sincerely apologize. Monza goes, what?
Yeah, it's not suspicious at all.
No, wait. But Morvir goes, I realize I am not always the easiest company. Which is true. Even Vittori busts out laughing. And Morvir kind of winces at this, but he goes through and he goes, "If I seem always contrary, it is because I want the best for you in your venture. It has ever been a feeling of mine to be too intransigent in my pursuit of excellence. There is no more important characteristic than pliability in a man who must be your humble servant. Can I entreat you to make with me a heroic effort to put this unpleasantness behind us?" Then he snaps the reins, keeps the cart going, and he's smiling, and he goes, "I can feel it, a new beginning."
I love too, like Monza looks over at Day like, "What the fuck is going on?" And Dave's like, "I don't know."
I don't know. And she's just eating an apple, and Vitari is just chilling on the back of the car. She goes, "Sun's coming out. It's a new beginning, and the rainbow. Oh, it's so much fun. You know what happens when they say there's an elf glade where it touches the ground." Oh, and
Which is what Monza said her dad taught her growing up as well.
Right. That's true. And Monza's looking after them like, "What the fuck is going on? I don't trust this." And then Shivers goes, "Maybe he just wants to be loved." And Monza goes, "Oh, if only men could change like that." But Shivers does say something. He's smart. He goes, "That's the way they do change, really. If things change enough around them, because men are brittle. They don't bend into new shapes. They get broken into them, crushed into them." And then Monza finishes in her head, "burned into them."
Yeah, that's a really, I say that's a really good line from Shivers. Like,
yeah,
it's just one of those things that's it's pretty true for the most part. I don't think it's the only way. It's very cynical to see it's the only way, but especially from Shivers' point of view, and that is the case many times. Many people do change not because they want to, because they have to.
Right.
And maybe that's whenever people have to change, maybe that's why people don't. It doesn't seem like they actually change, because you can only truly change if you want to be better. Which is why the theme in this book is a lot of people change and then they change back XYZ. You know. So Shiver saying that though shows simultaneously his learned side, but he's also showing his lack of experience overall with it. Like, this is new to him, so he doesn't actually realize. Like, he thinks that he's genuinely different, and he is, but not really, because he doesn't actually want to be different. He feels like he's just being who he is now. So it's showing his lack of understanding on how this works, while also being true. It's a very, very clever line.
Yeah, he feels like he's accepted who he really is.
Yes.
George, you want to say something? I thought I saw you.
No. That's very well put, Harrison.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so Monza realizes, like, not that they're alone, but they're just, alone, I guess, for all intents and purposes. She goes, "Ooh, how's your face?" He just says itchy. So she asks him, like, did it hurt at the eye maker when he was,
Itching?
When he was scalpeling out all the dead tissue. And he goes, "Look, on a scale between stubbing your toe and having your eye burned out, it was near the bottom."
Stubbing your toe is one of the worst things ever. I don't know what you're talking about.
It really is. It really is. And they even compare it to, like, falling down a mountain. And she goes, "Not that bad. As long as you lie still. It's when you try to get up that it starts to sting a little bit." And she notes that it got a grin from him, even though he was grinning a lot less than he used to. Especially after what she'd put him through in her mind's eye, right? And she goes, "I suppose I should be thanking you for saving my life. Again, it's getting to be a habit." And he goes, "That's what you're paying me for, isn't it, Chief?" Fact is that he's good at being, a violent man. As a fighter, you need to respect him. Anything else, he's just a big shiftless fuck. But he goes, "I still got my pride, though, and a man's got to be what he is, I reckon. Otherwise, what is he? Just pretending, huh? And who wants to spend all the time that they're given pretending to be what there ain't?" So,
and again, Shiver's coming out with some philosophical bangers here,
Yeah, and they come over a rise, a little hill, and they see a barn, right? A farmhouse, whatever. And it reminds Monza of the farm where she was born. She thinks of Benna. She thinks of her father, and she doesn't want to, like, engage into nostalgia. She hated that farm, the digging, the plowing, the dirt in her nails, everyone. So
I think another reason people don't like, and then they don't like Monza doing stuff or saying things. They don't like this aspect where she's purposely cynical. But I mean, Shivers does the same thing. He's currently doing the exact same thing. It's the idea of if they have to maintain who they are, who they think they want to be, not out of because they actually want it, but because they feel like they have to be a certain way. So Maz is just very self-aware in terms of the fact of if I start thinking this way, I'm gonna start having regrets. So she doesn't want to think that way.
right, I will just add that Shivers has accepted it now, whereas like
Yeah.
Monza, you know how she is now, and you'll see more of this like the more the book goes on, but she becomes more like what Shivers was in the beginning before he got his eye burned out, right? Where Shivers was telling himself, "I want to change. I want to be this way." Right, but he's not. And you see Monza now; she's shaking herself like, "No, don't think about nostalgia. No, don't think about that farm. I hated
No,
that
but
farm."
Monza, it's only our perception of it, though. Remember, because Monza's been this way for a long time.
Right. Well, I'm saying
We're just seeing more of it.
We're seeing more of it. I'm saying, but that's how she is. You'll see it. Like I'll bring it up during a certain event.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah. Then we switch over to more Veer's perspective, and he's in. They're in the barn, and this is where we see more Veer's perspective, right? Like we get it from his point of view, where he always had an uncanny aptitude for saying the wrong thing. He's always remembered this. When he means to contribute, he was complaining. When he intends to be solicitous, he is insulting. When he wanted to provide support earnestly, he is undermining. He wanted only to be valued, respected, included, and yet every attempt made everything worse. So he was starting almost to believe that after 30 years of failed relationships, a mother who had left him, a wife who had left him, apprentices who had left, robbed, or attempted to kill him, usually by poison, but on one memorable occasion with an axe, that he simply was not very good with people. He should have been glad at least that the drunk Nakomo Koska was dead, and indeed he had felt some relief at first. But then he started kind of feeling some mild depression, and he started like going over every he was like squabbling with Monza every detail of the job. Maybe it should have been better if he had just retired to the mountains, right? But he resolved to try to be more compliant, more grateful, more gracious. So what does he do? He takes the first step, and while everybody is out surveying the land for looking for the 1,000 swords, what he did is he pretended to have a headache, and instead he's preparing them a surprise: his mother's recipe for mushroom soup.
Aww.
I like this.
I like how it could be easily assumed from the last bit that Morveer is just pretending to like be obedient and do what Monza says, but then you come to his perspective and he is actually being completely honest.
He's trying. Oh. He is legit trying. He even like cuts his finger, right? He burns his elbow, and then, because of this, he got so mad. He was like, "Fuck this!" But he's like, "No, it's okay." And by the time they were returning, he had the table set, candles lit, bread baked and sliced. Oh my lord, Harrison, you were gonna say something though. Go ahead.
I just was gonna say, in continuation of that, this is the thing that I like about him too, because he also, all these characters in this book are so well parallel to each other. He's doing what a lot of people do, which is he is trying to be kind and nice and compliant, not because he genuinely believes yet. He's if you notice, he says he's starting to almost believe that perhaps he may not be good with people. But why does he have the hard time doing it? And in a minute, why does it go the way it goes? Because he's not actually doing it for them. He's doing it for himself, so that he's liked. And that's the main issue.
Yeah, and I guess, well, isn't that generally somebody would say, well, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to change for yourself, because if you do for other people, you can't sustain it.
Well, yeah, but he's doing it to be liked, not to be.
He's not to do it to be better for the sake of being better.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
right.
And he's incapable of understanding that because he's a narcissist.
Well,
but I do think it's sweet what he does here. I think it's a good scene. I'm just saying, the reason he thinks this way is because he's like, well, all I have to do is be nice, and they should be nice to me. Why aren't they nice to me? Why don't I recognize? But the world doesn't work that way, and he knows that. But he can't see it because that would imply that he has to think of himself in a truly negative way. And even here, even with him thinking about maybe he needs to be better, he's not genuinely thinking, I'm the problem. He's thinking, I just don't get along with people.
right. But then narcissists they also don't like themselves. That's the thing. It's a very facade. Yeah. They're in love with themselves, but they don't like themselves.
He does. Exactly. He doesn't like himself.
Right. Well, I'm saying I'm giving Morvier a chance. The guy made mushroom soup. Come on, man. Come on.
Now, fuck that guy.
But his optimism did not last too long because when they entered the kitchen, the room, they did not remove their boots and they trekked in all this mud and he had cleaned the floor. He's like, and then they looked at and they were like, when they looked at the kitchen that was clean, the table that was set and everything, they go. They're very suspicious. They're like, what is this? And Morvier goes, this is an apology. Since our number-obsessed cook has returned to Talent, I thought I might fill that spot and prepare dinner. Now, this is my mother's recipe. Please sit, please. And he started dragging out chairs, and they're like, it's like they're walking towards their own execution. They just go, oh, and they sit down. And Morvier, he offers Shivers first. He goes, soup? And then Shivers goes, not for me. What did you call it? Paralyzed me that one time. And then Morvier kind of snaps. He goes, you mistrust me? And then Vitari goes, almost by definition, you're a poisoner. And then he goes, after all we've been through together, you mistrust me over a little paralysis?
It just goes to show how completely fucking warped Morvier's perception is. But it's like, what do you mean you don't trust me? Just because I'm a poisoner who poisons people.
Yeah, and then he
like,
and then he did it to you like once.
Yeah, he's like, I did it for a reason. And then he goes, if I was to poison you, I would just sprinkle black lavender on your pillow and lull you to sleep that would never end. Or put amaranth thorns in your boots, larynx on the grip of your axe, mustard root in your water flask. There are 1,000 ways that I could kill you, and you would never suspect the merest shadow of a thing. I would not go to all the trouble of cooking you dinner.
It's so suspicious with the way he says this. Like,
no, but you know what? He makes
too many examples. He makes a good point. He's been thinking about this. He does make a good point.
And maybe it's like it's just so natural. Like this is just how he would kill people. And then
it is, yeah.
And then Shivers just is like staring right at him. And then he just reaches out, and then Morvier goes, "Uh-oh, he's about to beat the fuck out of me." And then Shivers just grabs his hand around Morvier's, tips the pan so soup goes into his bowl. Then Shivers grabs a spoon, picks it up, puts some, he gets some soup, and then he eats it, and he goes, it's good. Mushroom? And Morvier goes, yeah, it is. And then Shivers goes, nice. And he continues eating. And then Morvier goes, thank you. Now, does anybody not want soup? Out of nowhere,
Ishri just pops out of nowhere, and I love how she comes and tries to scare them.
She single-handedly fucked up so much potential for character development for Morvier, because when she does this, she comes out of nowhere, scares the shit out of everybody. She screams this basically right in Morvier's ear, right?
So it definitely seems that way.
So because of that, he starts, I guess you could say. The pan comes out of his hand. Hot soup is spreading all over the table and into Vitari's lap. She screams. Cutlery's flying. Mercado's fucking lurching out of her chair. Dave drops a slice of bread. And Morvier whips around. And he's like clutching the ladle in one fist. And then it's a Gurkish woman stood smiling beside him, arms folded, her skin as smooth as a child's, flawless as dark glass. And Mercado goes, wait, she's a friend. And Morvir goes, she's no friend of mine. And Morvir goes, how did she appear from nothing? There was no door near her. The window was tightly shut, and the floor and ceiling are intact. And then Ishri goes, you have no friends, poisoner. And she's covered in bandages. And Day goes, who the hell are you? And where the hell did you come from? And she goes, they used to call me the East Wind, but now they call me Ishri. And Morvir goes, she means, and then Shivers goes, magic. And Shivers is the only one that did not move. He's still eating his soup. He goes, pass the bread, huh?
Fucking fearless.
Oh, my boy. And then Morvir goes, damn your bread and your magic. How did you get in here? And Vitari, she has a knife, and she goes, she's one of them. An eater.
Dun, dun, dun!
And then Ishri goes, we must all eat something, huh? And Vitari goes, I do not care to be on the menu. She goes, you don't worry. I'm very picky about my food. And
Well, seems like it's interesting. In 2 chapters, we've seen that happen twice. It seems like most eaters are very picky on their food. The only people that we've ever seen eat, like, they're not just like, or maybe it's the older they get, the more picky they get. I really do wonder that.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We see Yoru, and he just goes for it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well, it just starts eating, just straight off the source, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. And Vitari says that she's tangled with their kind before in Dagaska. Now, Morvir is not fully understanding what is being said, because he's not, being an eater. I mean, that's probably really like well known in the South, obviously, and in the Union, but anywhere else, it's not really talked about that much because of the reach of Kolul and Bayaz and all that stuff is like really limited to those two. And then, but he notices that Vitari is worried, and that makes him worried because she's not a person that's just going to be worried about anything, right? And Vitari she asks Manza, she goes, what deals have you been making? And Manza goes, the ones that needed making. She works for Rogan. And Ishri goes, well, or perhaps he works for me.
Oh.
And then Manza doesn't care as long as one of them is sending men. And she goes, yep, he's sending 2 score of his best. And she asks him in time. She goes, unless the 1,000 swords come early, and they will not. Their main body are camped 6 miles away. They're picking a village clean. And then they just had to burn the place, a destructive little crowd. And then she looks at Morvir, and she's like, stares at him a little bit. And then he goes, those black eyes made him unnecessarily nervous. He did not like the fact that she was wrapped up in bandages. He found himself curious as to why, and she interrupts his train of thought. And she goes, they keep me cool. And then he blinks, wondering whether he might have spoken that question out loud. And she answers him, you did not. and then he felt himself turn cold to the roots of his hair, just as he had when the nurses uncovered his secret materials at the orphanage and guessed their purpose. He could not escape the irrational conclusion that this Gurkish devil somehow knew his private thoughts, knew the things that he had done that he had thought no one would ever known. And because he's looking at her, she's looking at him, he goes, I will be in the barn. I must prepare if we are to have visitors come tomorrow. Come on, Day. So because he doesn't want, he's like, no, because if he's thinking about this stuff now, she's gonna know it. He's like, fuck this, bye. And then she goes, they was buttering 3 slices of bread, and she just said, I'll just finish this first. He goes, yes, all right, fine, I see. And then she goes, do you need your coat? They asked him. She goes, I will be more than warm enough. And then he goes out, and he goes like to the wheat field or something, and then he realized he is not going to be warm. It's a little chilly, but he's not going to go back there because he's going to look like a fool. He goes, not me. He goes, bandage, bitch. Oh, that's it. We'll see who whips who now. I'll show you a trick or two. And then he slips in some mud, and he falls on his ass, and he goes, damn you, damn it to your bastard ass or whatever. And so much for heroic efforts and for new beginnings. Tisk, tisk, tisk. And that's the end of that chapter. Boys, how do you rate this one? I like this one.
You go ahead and rate it, Jeff.
I'll give it a 5 and a knuckle out of 9. I like it. You know, it's it's a little bit longer. We get some potential character growth from Morveer. Like it could have really just imprinted upon himself, right? And just
Yeah.
it got snatched away because somebody likes to do peekaboo. Fuck. It was tested because no one trusted it, but then Shivers gave him a shot, said it was delicious soup, and we could have had it.
Yeah.
We could have had it, and then, but whatever.
Yeah,
and then
I think Ishri comes in and ruins
she
everything.
did. She ruined so much potential character development. Oh, and then we get obviously an Ishri interaction, which is great. We get Vitari giving backstory to Ishri or Ishri's kind to everybody else because not everybody knew what an eater was.
Nope.
We get, and before that, we got that interaction between Monza and Morveer. And then we get the interaction between Monza and Shivers, where we see Shivers really just kind of accepting who he is. Monza feeling guilty about it. Not sure how to really act around Shivers nowadays. But yeah, I enjoy it. 5 and a knuckle.
I reckon I'm gonna go for the same, or just a little higher. I think a 6, because I absolutely love to see more Via's narcissism just on full display in his own mind. Like he's like you said, Harrison. Like he's never the problem. Everyone else is the problem. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna offer an olive branch. And it's like, but you're the one that you're the problem.
but he does say that he comes off. He notices that he's not there. I agree with you. He's not there in like understanding that he truly is the problem. But he's like, maybe I'm just not good with people. Maybe they don't understand me. I get it. But he's there. He's a stone's throw away.
He's getting there. He is getting there. And I love to see this sort of like build up and an absolute waste of potential. I think that's absolutely brilliant.
It's pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
I think 6 out of 9 for me as well. Same reasons. I do like how he is like it is such a unique style that he's going for with trying to it's funny because in our minds and even inside of the book's minds and just overall, if a normal person do this, it'd be like, this is a nice olive branch, just try to work this out. But some states in the first law, it's like unheard of. It's like he must be after something. And so even us as readers, knowing this world, we're like, oh, this seems suspicious. But it doesn't it's just an interesting setup, and I love how Ishri just is like, hello.
Yes. I also want to point out as well that I love the fact that Shivers is like redeemed or not redeemed, like proven right about the magic. Like that was a big thing when Morveer was like grilling him about it. Oh, it's no such thing as magic. It can't possibly exist. And then he's just had his mind read by this fucking mummy-looking eater. And he's still a little bit like, it must have been a trick or something.
Because he's all about, science and everything. And then to the idea of an eater, just someone just appearing out of thin air, it boggles his mind. He goes, no, I can't, no, cannot be. And then Shivers is like, magic.
Oh, yes.
All right. Well, good. Thanks for that, boys. Let's move on to our next segment, which is our character spot. Who are we shining this well-deserved spotlight on?
Mercenaries!
Specifically, the assassins that are sent after the crew.
Yeah, this group of assassins specifically.
Yeah, they are completely fucking incompetent. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do wonder if, like, whenever they send them, like, the smart mercenaries are like, we'll hold back and we'll go in and get them, because they knew that the other idiots would just be willing to jump in there. I feel like that's the case. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I do like how each of them have like their own little. You have like the classic like, man, we shouldn't trust him. Man, it's all I'm all about money. Then you have there's Lucky Nim, who's not so lucky, and you got the Malt, who's like completely reasonable and totally understanding.
And he's like, "Come on, friend."
Yeah, come on, guys, we can work together.
And we should note that Pello got his comeuppance. He met his end, right?
Yeah.
I wonder what Shank did to him. I wonder if he ate his eye out.
Ugh.
Ooh, that would be a nice little twist, right? Yeah,
I feel like Shanks isn't like he does kill them all, and I like the fact that it kind of seems like that is the only reason
what?
that they're after the money as well, and he wants the money, and
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
just like.
And he's like, well, might as well make a meal out of it. Oh, Shanks, you wily devil, you. Ah. And what else do we need to know about the mercenaries? Lucky Nim had a rash on her thigh, so she's probably dealing with like shingles or something, right? And then
Shingles.
yeah, I'm just saying, she might have shingles. I don't know. It's like across her leg. I mean, and now she got to deal with being with two fucking idiots, right? That just stumble into a room. She gets murdered, and then she gets eaten, and not just eaten. This guy that's gonna eat her is picky. Just like not that leg. I'll take this leg. If she is a spirit looking down, she goes, "What the fuck?"
Now, do you think that Shank ate her because she was lucky?
I think,
Just saying.
ooh, or maybe because she was tender. Maybe as a woman, not so muscled. No.
I didn't even come across the mind, Chef.
Never thought about it that way.
Hey, well.
Because he's a sexist misogynist.
Yeah,
He only eats women.
Yeah.
He hates
He is
women.
Hannibal Lecter.
George, were you gonna say something?
No, I'm all good.
All right.
I love the incompetent mercenaries. I think this is it kind of carries on from like the practicals in the Blade itself, where they go after Logan and
Oh
Farrah like stumbling around being idiots. And I do like it.
Like, who's hiring these goofballs?
Who hires these fuckers? Like, I know these guys are like freelancers, but fuck me.
Who vets them?
You're not gonna get very far if you're that shit at being a fucking assassin.
Very true. Very true. Very true. Harrison, you have anything to add?
I mean, sometimes we just gotta stretch it, I like that. Joe doesn't have to have these interactions, and I wonder how much he likes making these little characters, because each of these characters, he's maybe just coming up with shit on the moment. Obviously, he's coming up with the whole book, I guess, but you know what I mean. Like, It seems like he always puts a little bit of effort into these random characters. So, they're just enjoyable little characters. That's all.
Absolutely, like there's so much they have more character than their role warrants. Like you kind of feel sorry for them in a way because everybody's got to make a living. Styria seems like a really rough place, so going after somebody who's really wanted for like a couple of 100,000 scales it's actually quite tempting. I bet. So you can't blame them, and at least they did try to work with Shanks until he folded them all in half.
Yeah, they tried. He's
folding clothes with them still in it.
But now they're all going to be part of a pate, unfortunately. So, thanks for that, boys. Let's move on to our final chapter read through, The Traitor. Dun, dun, dun. And we're looking at this from the point of Shivers, and he is riding a little horsey in the dark about an hour or two before dawn. And horsey. And he's looking for somebody. He sees a sentry, a guard, and he doesn't want to get shot in the dark. So he goes, "Hey, do you want to give me a challenge, or should I just go on and leave you to it?" And the guy goes, "Who goes there?" And the guy stumbled. He was like, "Oh fuck!" And Shivers goes, "My name's Carl Shivers, and faithful Carpy's gonna want to talk to me." So he's going to the Thousand Swords, and
he's betraying Monza.
We guess so.
No.
Yeah. And honestly, he might be sick of her shit. I would be. He lost an eye to this, and he notices that the Thousand Swords camp looks like pretty much any other camp. It reminds him of like the North, huddled around fires in the cold. He saw faces of men that were dead and gone back to the mud that he shared drinks with and laughter with. His brother, his father, told Duru, the Thunderhead, Rud Three Trees, the Rock of Ufrith, Harding Grim, things like that. And it brings he got like he was feeling some pride at those memories. and starting to feel shame at where he found himself now, right? And
Well, that's all you got is his pride, right?
yeah, it's all you got is his pride. And then so the guard takes him to like a big tent, and the guard goes, "Now you best behave yourself in there, you northern bastard, or I'll go." And Shivers just goes, "Go fuck off," and he just walks in, and he sees that there's some men in there, and that there is a chair that is the captain general's chair. He's assuming that was Casca's, that was Monza's, and now it's faithful Carpi's. And then there's a table set up, men on each side of it, captains he can assume. And there's a big map and everything. And there's a big man that stood at the head of the table. He assumes it's faithful Carpi himself. And they're playing dice. And then they're playing dice, and he calls out Endiche, right? Endiche.
I don't know. Endiche.
He looks around, he sees Shivers, and he goes, "Who the hell's this guy?" And the guard is like, "General Carpi, this Northman says he needs to speak to you." And Faithful goes, "Oh, is really? And why would I want to speak to him? Because he's still playing dice." The guard goes, "He says he knows who killed Prince Ario." And Carpi goes, "Oh, you do you? And who was that?" And then Shivers goes, "Monscaro Mercado." And everybody just goes silent. And they go, "Okay, looks like you know." And Shivers goes, "You looks like you know the name." And they go, "Huh, I wonder if should we just hire him as a joker, or should we just hang him for a liar?" And somebody goes, "Mercado's dead."
Why are there so many scenes in this particular book where somebody walked into a room and everyone's like, "Hey, look at this fucker. We should fuck him up." And the guys, the character's always just like, "Can we just chill out for a minute? Can we talk?" They're like, "Yeah. Well, maybe if you weren't so fucking ugly." It's like, I know, like, each of these scenes there is in like in a bar kind of setting or inside around a bunch of mercenaries. I just think it's so funny that that's always their same reaction. I feel like it's a running joke. I think it's the rule of three with it on this book, honestly.
Yeah.
It could be.
I've never thought about it that way before. I mean, it's that does happen entirely too much in this book. Look.
It does, and it's happened to Shivers.
But wait, I have a piece of information that will make you change your mind.
Yeah. And this happened to Shivers twice. He's part of it twice now, I think.
That's true.
First was Sajam, and then this one.
Yep.
And then he goes, "Oh, if Mercado's dead, I wonder who it is I've been fucking for the past month."
Oh shit!
And Adish goes, "If you've been fucking Mercado, I advise you to get back to it. From what her brother told me, no one here can suck a cock as well as she could."
Oh shit!
And Shivers goes, he doesn't understand what he meant about her brother.
He's so ridiculous. He's like, "Oh, that's kind of weird." Oh, come on.
Anyway,
odd thing to say, but anyway, he was already starting to undo the bandages around his face, and then he took them off. And all the laughter that was there from that one joke, they just kind of just stopped, because now he has a kind of face that, doesn't really encourage laughter. And he goes, "Here's what she cost me so far. For a handful of silver? Fuck that. I ain't half the idiot she takes me for, and I've got my pride. I'm done with the bitch." And then Faithful goes, "Describe her." And he goes, "Tall, lean, black hair, blue eyes, frowns a lot, sharp tongue on her." And Victus is like, "Common knowledge." And he goes, "She's got a broken right hand and marks all over from falling down a mountain," she says. "Got a scar just here and one matching in her back. Says a friend of hers gave it to her, stabbed her through with her own dagger." And Carpi goes,
Nice.
"Oh, shit. You know where she is?" And then Victus goes, wait a minute. "You're saying Mercado's alive?" And Faithful goes, "I heard a rumor." And then, this other guy goes, "I heard all kinds of rumors. Rumors and facts are two different things. When were you planning on fucking telling us?" And Faithful goes, "When you fucking needed to know, Cesaria." Now, he looks at Shivers and goes, "Where is she?" And he goes, "At a farm, maybe an hour's distance of a ride." And he goes, and he tells her how many she has with him. 4, a whining poisoner and his apprentice, barely more than a girl, a red-haired woman named Vitari, and some brown bitch. He is giving up all the goods. And then he goes, "Where exactly?" He goes, "Well, that's why I'm here, ain't it? To tell you where exactly." And Victus goes, "I don't like the smell of this." And Faithful, "Shut up. What's your price? What's your price?" And then he goes, "I just want a 10th part of what Duke Orso's offering on the head of Prince Ario's killer." And he goes, just a tenth? He goes, look, a tenth is plenty more than I'll get from her, but not enough to get me killed by you. I want no more than I can carry away alive.
Which is
Faithful
pretty
goes,
smart.
yep, he goes, wise man, wise man. Nothing we hate more than greed, is there, boys? All right, then the 10th part is fair. You got a deal if we get Mercado. And then he goes, do you need her dead or alive? He goes, sorry to say, I prefer dead myself. Good. So would I. Last thing I want is a running score with that crazy bitch. She don't forget. So, Faithful goes, all right, he looks at one of his generals. He gets 3 score horsemen ready to ride. And quick. Come on. And Shivers goes, it might be best to keep it to fewer. And he goes, oh, really? And how much?
Now he's just getting suspicious at that point, because that's kind of a weird thing to...
Yeah, but then he goes, and how would fewer men be better? And then Shivers goes, the way she tells it, she's got friends here still. The way she tells it, there's plenty of men in this camp who wouldn't say no to having her back in charge. The way she tells it, they won victories to be proud of with her. And with you, they skulk around and scout while Orso's men gets all the prizes. And Faithful starts like looking around, and he goes, And he goes, best keep it to a few and the ones that you're sure of. I've got no problem with stabbing Mercado in the back. I reckon she's got it coming. Getting stabbed by one of these is another matter. And then Swole goes, 5 all told, and 4 of them women? A dozen should do it. And then Faithful's like, still, make it 3 score, just in case there's more at the party than we're expecting. And then Sir goes, all right. And Shivers goes, have it your way. And Faithful goes, any of you bastards want to come? And Cesaria, Victus, they're like, this is your mess. This is all on you, buddy. Basically, they all like Indish, Cesaria, and Indish, Cesaria, and Victus. Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then somebody else goes, I too must take my leave, General Carpi. And we didn't see him before. He didn't really stand out before. He had a curly head of hair, no weapon, no scar, no sneer, no air of menace in the least. But Faithful still chuckled up to him like he was a man that needed respect. And Faithful goes, Master Sulphur, my thanks for stopping by. You're always welcome here. Whoa, Yoru Sulphur.
Can I petition that we change Sulphur's name when we refer to him in the podcast to Captain Cameo?
Captain Cameo. We can.
Captain
Cameo. All right.
He shows up so many times, and I love it. I love cameos, and I think he does it all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Just for that.
I support this motion. And then Sulphur goes, I'm loved wherever I go. It's easy to remain on good terms with the guy who brings the money. And Faithful is like, tell Duke Orso and your people at the bank they have nothing to worry about here. It's all taken care of, like we discussed, just as soon as I deal with this little problem. And Sulphur looks, he goes, life does love to throw up problems, doesn't it? And he smiles at Shivers, one blue eye, one green eye. And he goes, happy hunting. And he walks out. And then Faithful goes, an hour's ride, you said? He goes, yep, if you move quick. And then he goes, how do you know she won't have missed you by then? Sleeping, slipped away. He goes, she's asleep now. She's been smoking a lot of husk, more of that shit every day. Half her time drooling with it, half the time drooling for it. She's not wicking anytime soon. He goes, best to not waste any time, though. She can cause some surprises. And he goes, that's a fact, and she's expecting help. 2 score men from Rogant coming by tomorrow afternoon. They're planning to shadow you, lay an ambush as you turn south. Tis, tis, tis. He is telling them everything.
Every little detail.
And then he goes, no better feeling than flipping a surprise around. And you'll be riding at the front, huh? And Shivers goes, yeah, for a 10th part, I'll take the ride at the front side saddle. And he goes, no, just front will be fine. Next to me, it'll be cool. We honest men need to stick together. No doubt. All right. I need to take a piss, and then I'm putting my armor on. And that's the end of that chapter. Boys, how do you rate that one?
Shocking that Shivers would come and betray Monzo like this.
I mean, somewhat shocking, but kind of believable, but also it's almost too convenient, isn't it?
First time I read this, I was genuinely convinced that he had actually betrayed her.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I wasn't. First time I was like, this motherfucker's setting them up.
I was conflicted the first time I heard it, because it was kind of like I could see it, but the way that he was laboring it. But then I thought, well, I'm in his head, right? But there's an explanation for that, right? Why he is thinking the way he is, and it's not the same thing. It's well, Shivers is not lying, right? His goal is different than what he's implying, but his motives are the same. That's what makes it believable, and that's why he does such a good job at, like, whenever you're writing it, to make it to be believable.
Because he's telling nothing but the truth.
He's telling nothing but the truth except for his end goal, end goal of what he wants to happen. But honestly, would Shivers actually be mad if they ended up killing Mons and he got paid for his time?
No, he wouldn't. He'd be like, all right, I'm done.
I don't think at this point. Yep.
I mean, actually, at this point, I think he would. At this point, I think a couple chapters from now, he wouldn't care.
Yeah. Fair enough.
We'll see. What do you guys rate it?
I'm gonna rate this one just, I reckon, a 4. Because it is the setup. I liked it that we're finally seeing the inside of the Thousand Swords camp.
Yeah.
We're seeing a little bit, again, completely incompetent. The Sentry doesn't know what he's fucking doing. All of the captains and the Captain General are just playing dice, like, like they're not actually on campaign right now.
Just chilling. But that's what most of the time they do, right?
That's all they do. They just play dice with all the money they've stolen off everyone else.
And I think it's good that I think it's telling how Faithful reacts. I think Faithful has a very unique character, which we'll get more into later, but how he reacts to Shivers coming up in there, and he definitely, his name has meaning. It's Faithful Carpy. He's like an old boy from the north. That's what he's like. So that's pretty cool.
True, that is true. I never thought about it in that way, but I actually really like Faithful Carpy as a character. Like, he seems very well, we'll see more of him later, but I do enjoy him in this chapter.
I'll give it a 3. It's cool. Maybe I'll give it a 3 and a knuckle, just because of the suspense of, like, oh, Shivers betraying Monza for real. But nothing much happened here in terms of so much development or anything. It's more like, hey, I am betraying Monza, but am I betraying Monza? And come with me, Faithful, and you should probably bring, like, maybe just a dozen men. You don't need to bring too many. Okay, whatever. Do what you want to do. But yeah, not much to talk about it. Like, there's not so much I can glean from it, except for the fact, like, is Shivers gonna betray her? And then if you look at the book, we're still, like, just more than halfway or so. It's like, this motherfucker's not betraying her, so yeah, 3 and a knuckle.
I think I'm gonna be giving it a 5.
Oh, 5 and a knuckle.
Yeah, I just like how it's played out. I think it's done in a very clever way, and maybe some people would be like, "Oh, we are not seeing his inner thoughts" or whatever. I don't know. I think he's done in a very good way. But also, it's like you said, Jeff. It's like after the first time, it's one of those chapters where it's like trying to trick you. So after the first time, you're like, "Nah, it's not as good."
Yeah,
it is done really, really well, especially the first time.
No, true.
So.
True. Alrighty. And we'll move on to our final segment, our community interaction segment. Harrison, we are going to berate you, but go ahead, take it away.
I did finally release the a video, which you guys will have seen. It's been out for about a week now from the time that this
It only took 7 years ago.
Right before I left, I thought I had uploaded it to YouTube on a schedule, but I guess I didn't press the upload button, and so I just exited out and didn't realize it was going to upload and didn't upload. So
he forgot how computers work.
I may have been drinking, or just I need to go ahead and do this, and I didn't do it right. So
I'm just glad it wasn't me with a scheduling issue this time.
But if it does pique your fancy to hear some first law lore on a YouTube video, you should go watch it. It's the Wizards and Warriors one that I mentioned a few weeks ago, where I just react to them talking about the Magi go to war, and I just kind of break it down on what stuff they're kind of leaving out, what stuff kind of critique it in a good way.
Yeah,
but go watch it.
Go watch it, people. We're trying, we're interacting with you more. We're trying to improve the YouTube channel, right? George, me and you, we got to schedule another upload session. We got to finish it off.
Yes.
We got to top it off.
We're slowly getting there. Maybe
I think we're about halfway, right?
we're about halfway there. Another 40 episodes to upload. And
Yeah.
we'll be done.
We'll get it. We'll get it done.
I feel like there was some other news that we were going to talk about as well, wasn't there? Are we going to talk about? So there's a release date for the Devils now, is there, or is it just a cover?
Shit. Is there?
I don't know.
I've been gone for a while, so I haven't. I'm still catching up with the news and things like that. Get back into the swing.
So I wasn't going to read the chapters that Joe's released for the.
I wasn't either. I figured we could. Yeah.
We probably will do an episode on the book when it comes out, but it looks like that's proceeding well. It should be out, if not this year, then next year. And I'm very much looking forward to it. So it's good stuff.
Yeah. I can't think of any other news. We haven't heard anything really about the Best Served Cold movie. That's kind of like been in development still. What else?
I think the last time Joe mentioned the Best Served Cold movie, he used the phrase, "I told you not to hold your breath."
Yeah.
Because he knows this. It's like maybe minimum 5 years away at this point.
Yeah, like they're in the talks of, hey, we have this. They're basically still just trying to pitch the idea to people and getting promises from actors. Like, hey, you want to try this? If it comes of, I mean, it's so early on, you know.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, we are trying to be, like I said, better with the YouTube channels. We might, I don't know if Harrison's willing to do it or George or whatever, but maybe post some more on Reddit, try to encourage you guys. But also just please don't forget to go to the House of the Meme Maker. Is there that memeing every chapter thing still going on?
No, the Best of Cold one is finished.
Okay.
And it'll probably be quite a while until the Heroes one starts, but you can always join in and jump on and make some new memes. It's still fairly active, considering it's been 3 years since the last book came out. Like it's pretty impressive that people are still making 4 or 5 memes a week.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Between the Reddit House of the Meme Maker and us, I feel like we do a decent job at keep the dream alive.
Yeah,
we don't let things die here at the Circle of the World podcast. Alrighty.
We're going to be on this bandwagon for another 40 years.
Just another 40 years.
Yeah, you know it.
So here we are, Circle of the World Podcast. Welcome to our 20th read-through of Best Served Cold.
That's our show, everyone. We want to thank you all for listening and supporting this podcast. As you know, this is a passion project for the three of us, and your support really does mean a lot to us.
Join us next week as we cover King of Poisons and No Worse.
And make sure you follow us on all of our social media. And we have a website. It's circleoftheworld.com.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And please make sure to rate and review this podcast. Thank you all again for listening.
Now, does anyone not want soup?